Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to level 3, week 21. Okay, the level 3 module right now, we only have up to week 26. So you're 5 more classes to go. Okay, so after that, I think there will be a graduation session. So for this graduation session, what they will see is that if you've been regularly chanting a number of rounds, whether it's 1 round or 2 round or 3 round or 4 round, okay, so you can let me know. Okay, so there are different levels. Like if you are reading any book regularly, you can let me know. And if you are following Ekadasi, you can let me know. And if you are doing offering at home regularly, like every morning you offer milk or offer some fruits, you can tell me. And then if you're going to temple regularly, like every week, or you're going taking part in the service, that also you can tell me. Okay, so these are all certification based on your practice. Previously, your level 1, level 2, given based on the completion of your course. Right now, we are awarding those who can assimilate these Bhakti steps in your life, because this is our course is about level 3 now. We are in 21 weeks already. So almost 1 year we are together. So there must be some something that you have been able to apply already in your daily life. Okay, so if you have not done much until now, so you still have a few more weeks to go. So please try to see where you can add in these practical steps in your life. Okay, so to the extent that is based on the environment in your house. Okay, we don't want any problems. So if you have the facility and it is conducive for you, so by all means just do it. Okay, and then you can update me. Okay, Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhatra. So praise to the spiritual teachers. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Join me. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Hare.
Om Tat Sat, Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Okay, anybody remember what was the topic for week 20? 1920. 19 was, this is about subtle body. Who remembers? What was 19?
Mind, intelligence, and the soul, Mataji.
Yes, mind, intelligence, and soul. Remember, we had this hierarchy. So can you see this picture here, the chariot? Okay, so Jagannath Ratha Yatra is coming, and then we are touching on chariot here. Okay, so how coincidental is that? All right, so we have soul here as the passenger, we have driver, the intelligent, we have reins representing the mind. So, okay, do you remember the hierarchy? What is the lowest? What is the lowest in the hierarchy? Okay, what is the highest in the hierarchy?
The soul, Mataji.
Soul is the highest. All right.
Yeah.
So what is the lowest?
Body.
Yes, body, because body is matter. Now, above the body.
Senses.
Senses.
Above the senses.
Mind.
Yes, above the mind.
Intelligence.
All right. Okay, so this is the hierarchy. Okay. Now, why the mind is higher in hierarchy than the senses? What can we relate this to? Okay, clue. When the body is sleeping, what is working? When the body is sleeping, your senses are also sleeping, like it's resting. But what is working? And what is the evidence of that element is working?
The mind is active, is it, Mataji?
Okay, so how do you know your mind is active?
As while dreaming.
Yes, you have dreamed, right? Okay. Now, how do we apply this in our life is that as we grow old, when our physical, the limbs are not able to perform as much as we were younger, what is active at that time?
The mind is
Notice.
Yes, Sarasmataji?
The mind is active.
Okay. So when the mind is active, what are we experiencing? Okay, remember, we are old, we are not able to function so well. The mind is working. So what is that we are experiencing? What will we be experiencing? You have a lot of...
Is it desires?
Yes, desires, but you are not able to fulfill it, all right, because of a condition. But the mind is always active. Therefore, the mind is superior to senses and is very strong. Okay, now we go to the soul. What's the position of the soul? Constitutional position of the soul. Constitution means the natural tendency of the soul or natural position of the soul. How do you translate constitutional, Kartini Mataji, lawyers ini?
Oh my gosh.
Cuba terangkan in a layman term, what is constitution?
What? I don't know how to explain, Mataji.
Okay, how does what does constitution mean actually in the terms of legislative something?
It's like a fundamental principles, like fundamental principles, which is established by either like a government or a state or a firm.
Okay, so I think
which has to be acknowledged and governed by everybody.
Oh, that's a wonderful definition. Right, constitution means what I can understand from Mataji's definition is it's a fundamental principle. Okay, it's a fundamental concept. So here we want to see what is the fundamental concept of the soul. Who knows? Everybody knows? Yes, Roja Mataji, please share.
We are the servants of the Supreme Lord.
So if we are servant, if our job position is servant, what is our job description? What are we expected to do?
Serve?
Yes.
Servant means worker.
Yes, Param Prabhu?
Work.
Yeah, work. So our master is Krishna. So we work for Krishna. We serve Krishna. Okay, so everybody at this point, you all know that the soul is spiritual. All right, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore we are meant to serve the master. Serve
the Lord.
Yeah, the Lord. Okay, now the senses tend to do a lot of abominable activities. These are not so virtuous or righteous. Can we actually stop our senses from engaging in all these activities? Can we? Or is it possible?
Including meditating? Certain extent.
Meditation, okay, to an extent. But there is a tendency to fail, isn't it? When you wake up from your meditation, you are going about working and doing a lot of things. So it may involve distractions and falling down. So can we artificially stop our senses? Don't eat this, don't eat that, don't go there, don't see that, don't do this. Can we do that?
Can go to jungle.
How long? Okay, so why we are
when you feel you are ready to come back?
Itu not consistent. Yeah, so this is what we say when there is a tendency to fail or fall, right? We cannot continue. So in this situation, what is recommended?
Is it mind control?
Okay, we will come to that later. So now we are seeing why we cannot artificially stop our senses. What is the problem with the senses? Not problem.
Short-term gratification.
Mataji, can you repeat?
Short-term gratification, like sense
Short-term.
gratification.
Okay, and then what happens?
After the short term.
Shortcut. So what happens if you are engaged too much in a...
We can't control our mind and our senses.
All right, we can't control our mind and senses. Okay, so why we are not able to stop our senses from doing things? Should we artificially try to stop enjoying our senses?
We become slaves to the gratification through our senses.
Okay, right. No, the question is, should we artificially try to stop?
Stop this one.
Should we?
We cannot artificially stop though.
Okay, so why? What is the challenge there? Why we cannot do that? Why we are not able to do that?
Because mind is hard to control.
Mind is hard. Okay, mind is different, senses are different. So there's body, above that is senses, above that is mind. So we are still at the senses. Senses means our hands, legs, eyes, nose. Okay, so why we cannot artificially stop them?
Because we have been doing things for so long time in a certain way, right?
Yes, correct. We have to engage in activities, all right? Number one, we have to survive, we have to work, we have to eat, we have to do this, we have to do that. All right, so we cannot possibly stop the senses. It's just like the kid is always active, want to play with something. So whatever it's within its reach, is going to grab it and it's going to play. Okay, he doesn't know whether it's knife or safe toy. So if the mother picks that toy, the dangerous weapon from the hand, the kid is going to find something else. All right, so you rather give something practical for the kid to play and continually engage the senses in a safe way. So that means his enjoyment is regulated, thus it is safe. All right, so why we cannot stop our senses artificially? Because it may we may be able to go to forests and stop our senses from working, and then we can meditate for a while, but later on we may fail and we will come back. Okay, so there is no success. So in chapter 6, Krishna already said what happens when a person fails after a long term of practice, and what happens to a person who fails after a short term of practice. Okay, so this is why we cannot artificially stop our senses, because we always need to be engaged in something. Okay, and Krishna said we have to work because we need to maintain this body. Even Krishna said that. Okay, so if you can't control the senses, then this is where you leverage on the intelligence. Okay, so this is what we will see today. All right. Okay, so before moving on, we want to request you to share your thoughts on this. Can you share one recent instance when somebody tried controlling you? What was your reaction? Okay, in the interest of time, we can have one person to share and then we will move on. Anybody recently had an experience that you don't like to be controlled? Maybe your manager tried to control you, your boss, or maybe your kid trying to control you. What happens? Anyone? Right? Nobody has experienced people controlling you?
My mom controls me every day.
How do you feel about it, Mataji?
I'm used to it, Mataji.
So what's your reaction? Did you obey? Of course, you're a good girl, so you would have.
Yeah, sometimes I obey, sometimes I just like think the logical way. Like if I feel like I'm not doing anything wrong, then I'll just go with it. And she has been like more understanding as well. Like
okay, so you try to justify, you try to speak, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah, thank you. Yes, thank you, Mataji. So, but do you like it?
if it's fair, then yes. If it's logical, then if it's illogical, then like no.
Yeah, okay, so that is the challenge. All right, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Right, so but generally, people don't want to be controlled. They want to control others, but they don't want to be controlled, especially when we think that we are right. Okay, so similarly, so we have this one friend here in our mind, in our body. It's called Mr. Mind, and this Mr. Mind doesn't like to be controlled. All right, so we want to do the hacking. Nowadays you see a lot of hacking. fasting hacking, happiness hacking, how to, hacking means shortcut. No, you can't go the right way, so you have to hack it. Okay, so we know generally the mind is very difficult to control and doesn't like to be controlled. No, the more you control, the more rebellious it becomes. So we want to find how to control this, all right? And because this topic is like a spin-off from our previous class, okay, mind, intelligence, and soul. So I'm just going to focus on one or two things only. Okay, most of it I saw is recap of the Bhagavad Gita verses that we've already previously covered. So nature of the mind and mind control. So I'm sure by now you already know what is the nature of the mind. I think we covered this also last week. All right. Can somebody tell me what is the nature of the mind from the top of your head? Earlier somebody said it's difficult to control. Anything else? You can bring in what Arjuna said about his mind to Krishna. Anyone remember? Anyone has it fresh on your mind?
Distress?
Okay, easily distressed. Okay. Yamuna Mataji? I know you're
Confused.
Confusion. Yes, easily confused, easily disturbed. What else? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes,
Restless. Restless.
Restless. Okay. Any more? So the easy way to remember these facts, right? Arjuna gave an example. He compared mind to something. What is that?
Wind, is it?
Roja Mataji. So tell me more. What is the nature of the wind?
It's worse than controlling a wind,
Yes, correct. Do you get that word? What was that term that Arjuna used? I'm sure Somasundara Prabhu still has it fresh in his mind.
Yeah, it's easier to control the wind than control the mind.
Right. Okay. Okay, so let me show this verse. Okay, look at this verse characteristics. Restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. So it's easier to control he says to subdue it. Subdue is control, yeah. I think it is more difficult than controlling the wind. So this is Arjuna's complaint to Krishna. Okay. So Arjuna also agrees that this is a challenge he will feel when he tries to control the mind. Okay. And when it is, so the impact, this is the impact. So when the mind is so strong and so stubborn, it overcomes the intelligence. So when the intelligence says, mind, you're not supposed to do this because this is the repercussion, this will be the consequence. But the mind said, no, I want to do it. Okay, because the 3 modes of material nature playing the puppeteering very strongly. So the mind is become victimized by that. So the mind become very strong and stubborn. No, I want to do this. All right, it's supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. That's why Arjuna said it's very difficult to control the mind. So again, I bring the chariot here. Okay, this analogy is from Katha Upanishad. Yeah. So the soul is sitting there. He's the boss. All right. But what happens is that the mind thinks he's the boss. So he tries to control the senses. Okay. Now, if the senses are not controlled, what will happen to this chariot? Let's say the intelligence is not doing its job. And the mind simply instructing the senses, go here, go there. All right, the senses go haywire. What will happen to the chariot? What will happen to our chariot?
Out of control.
Out of control. What will be the impact?
Will lose your direction.
Lose direction. Some more?
Wander away and get toppled.
You'll be wandering.
Yes. Wandering. Yes, lose direction, wandering, topple. Okay, so it will end up in big impacts like accidents or wrong decisions or sinful reactions. Okay, so if this buddhi doesn't control the manas, the mind, and subsequently if it doesn't control the senses, and the senses just do things whimsically, so it will end up in problems. Okay, So this is just like you need some medicines to control, to put some disease under control. But what happens that you are taking medicine, but your attitude, your behavior is still following the things that are not recommended, then it surpasses the efficacy of the medicine. So the medicine will not be efficient. Okay, so the direction has to be this way. Okay, intelligence control the mind control the senses. Okay, so how do we control this strong mind? Okay. There's two things that Krishna said in chapter 6 in response to Arjuna's complaint. I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. I hope you all remember. Practice and
detachment.
Detachment. Yes. Now everybody recall, right? Okay. So this comes under what practice? When does this practice and detachment comes? When you practice something, what is that?
Regulative principles.
Okay. Okay, that's more like more specific. Entirely, in the entirety. Strong mind supposed to be controlled by practice of yoga.
Meditation.
Yes. Okay, this is supposed to work hand in hand, and this is why Arjuna says it's so difficult, but it can be done through practice and detachment. Okay, so now the yoga that is recommended in Bhagavad Gita is not even suitable for Arjuna. So how will it be suitable for modern people like us? Okay, okay, this is the verse from Arjuna. Okay, all right. Okay, so again, yeah, from this example, intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. It overcomes it, is too strong. As an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicine because you are not following the recommended lifestyle or recommended process. Okay, so what will happen to the chariot when the senses or mind is in control, when the sense or mind do not listen to intelligence? So you already mentioned all the impact. Okay, wandering, lost direction. Okay, problem, or you may not even reach the destination. Okay, things like that, get lost. All right. So the strong mind is supposed to be controlled by practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for worldly person like Arjuna. Okay, because he's a Kshatriya, he has duties to perform. Compared to us, modern day is even worse. Okay, always we have a lot of things on our mind. The moment you sit for the chanting, that's when you have all the great ideas coming down. Yeah, there's one time we were talking about, we had this japa workshop, and there's this Mataji, she actually shared that when she chants, she gets all the best ideas. And then can I like write it down whenever when the idea comes, you know, she asked this question, and our counselor say, oh, no, you're not supposed to do that. You may want to lie on that for a while and then finish it, and then you go back to your chanting. So you cannot, when that idea comes and then you write it down. So we shouldn't do that. Okay, so it doesn't work like that. You are not controlling the mind in that sense. So when the mind goes out, you bring it back in. Goes out, bring it back in. This is also literally explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, he said when the mind goes wandering, you have to bring it back. This is called practice. Keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Okay. And the best way is not just silent meditation, because if you silently meditate and then close your eye, you might go to sleep. Okay, or you might wonder things that become worldly things again, material things again. All right. So the easiest way is chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So when your mind is diverting, okay, wandering, you chant a bit louder. So when you chant loudly, it will force you to hear that every word. And you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Not Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Don't do this. Because recently I discovered my daughter has been doing this and she finished her chanting in 5 minutes. How are you possibly finishing in 5 minutes? I take 7 minutes. Anything longer than that, there's tendency for your mind to wander. Anything shorter than that, it means you are cutting short certain syllables. So it's 24 syllables. So you have to pronounce each and every syllabus because these are sound vibrations. So if you don't follow the sound vibrations, then you may not get the intended benefit. So you cannot cut short and you cannot run Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna. You shouldn't do that also because every syllabus has its vibration, and this is where we get the spiritual potent from. Okay, so these words coming from spiritual world as Lord Brahma given to Narada Muni, and Mahaprabhu said this is the mantra that you have to chant in Kali Yuga. All right, so this is the simplest. You just have to pronounce it correctly. Okay, all right. So, and then that is a method, yeah, in all humility, which means you have to be humble, not like, oh, I hate him, I'm going to Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Tomorrow I'm going to revenge Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So you can't do that, all right? So humility. And it is also said that when your quality of your chanting is low, it is probably because you probably would have criticized somebody or offended somebody. So when you know, you can identify the reason why the quality of your chanting is going down, quickly find that and then try to glorify that person mentally and seek forgiveness, and immediately your chanting will be better. This was also a real life experience somebody shared. It's my own counselor at that time. He shared this. Okay, apparently somebody came to him complaining another person, and then he heard it, and the next morning his chanting was not good. And then when he analyzed what happened to me, why my chanting is not good? Oh, because I actually heard criticism or gossips from somebody else, and it has affects his chanting. So he immediately tried to find the good qualities of the person, of that subject of the conversation, and then glorify that person, and then the chanting became better. So we can always reflect this and see, okay? Other than chanting, we must engage our mind fully in Krishna. Remembrance, okay? When you chant, when you hear, then the third thing that's going to happen to you naturally is remembering. Okay, remember Krishna said, the one who remembers me at the time of death will attain me, my spiritual abode. Okay, and there'll be no other engagements to agitate the mind. So I repeatedly have mentioned this. It doesn't matter you're a householder or you're a worker or a student or whatever it is. Whatever you do it as a sacrifice to God. Okay, in that way, everything that you do will be purified. You're doing it with God consciousness. Okay. All right. So I'm going to skip this. It's very familiar to you. All right. It's possible by practice and detachment. It will be in this PDF. So in case you want to look through, it will be here. Okay. This verse I've been doing very often. So next time when I ask this question, please remember this. Okay. These two solutions that Krishna is giving. Okay, so we have to focus on this practice and detachment. There are many steps inside here. Okay, I'm running out of time because I want to go into Lord Jagannath pastimes. Okay, so practice means generally engaging in the 9 types of devotional service. So here there is listed how this practice can be applied. Okay, the next, doing this practice will give you detachment. So this is where we can actually touch on, yeah. Detachment means vairagya. Okay, you detach from matter, you attach to the spirit, which means detach from material things, attach to Krishna. Okay, so one of it is by hearing. Hearing is the practice. Now, this is the result. By hearing about Krishna, you become automatically attached to the Supreme Lord. Okay, so when you attach to Supreme Lord, you discharge the devotional service and then you feel the satisfaction. So if you are attached to Krishna, naturally you will be detached from material things that gives you temporary happiness. So this is how it works. Okay, so remember how to control the mind through practice and detachment. And how do we do this? You practice these 9 devotional services. Okay, chanting, hearing, remembering. Okay, and this will give you attachment to Krishna. Okay, consequently, you will be detached from material engagements. Right? All right, so we have 2. When you go to a doctor with a disease, they'll recommend you 2 things. They'll give you medicine and they'll tell you what to eat and what not to eat. So the medicine is the chanting and hearing of the Maha Mantra. The eating is literally the eating where we eat prasadam, whereby the food is purified by Krishna. This is the process of Krishna consciousness. So we are diseased. That's why we are generating reactions in every actions. All right. So we have to do these two things. Okay. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. Mind is the friend as well as the enemy. Okay, so these are the benefits of training the mind. Deliver from nescience. Nescience means ignorance. Okay, so you fight that and you get knowledge. So with this way, you will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature. Okay, because if there is attachment to the material engagement, it's going to give you bondage. Right? So how do you want to use your mind? The mind in a self-realized soul and the mind in a materialistic person is just like the usage of knife by a convict and a surgeon. Okay, same weapon, okay, same instrument, but it works differently in two people's hands. So it is our choice. How are we going to use it? Okay. All right. Okay, so okay, this one we did already just now. This is application. So I think we covered all this, yeah, basically chanting, right? Hearing and remembering, and also try to share this information to others. So you will reinforce this understanding in your mind. Okay, so in future, how would you like to handle situation when you're angry, stressed, or tense? So basically you disengage and then quickly go into chanting or reading. Okay, you may not be able to focus on reading immediately, but the recommendation is that you have to take up chanting. Okay. So I'm going to skip all these segments. It will be in the PDF, this video also. Okay, let's just go into Jagannath pastime. Okay. I'm going to stop recording for this session.